Raise your hand if you knew that they were not going to bring Dave's sister to the reunion. Raise your hand. To lead up to this all season, that's the only reason that I was watching. This season truly could have been an email, it could have been a news release. This is a master class on how to lose an audience, how to conduct the worst season of all time. And the reunion pretty much did the exact same thing. There were probably 5 things of note that happened during the reunion, and I'm going to be breaking them down with bits of banter. Antoinette from TikTok, if you are not following her, subscribe to her on TikTok, subscribe to her on YouTube, all platforms. She's going to help me break down the reunion, and I'm so excited to hear her thoughts on all of this mess. A whole lot of nothing happened this reunion. Agree or disagree? Agree.
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 There was a bit more tea. There was a bit more, but still.
As soon as I saw that we were doing a top 5 countdown of the best moments of Love is Blind, I knew that this was a loss. Can we also just say quickly, Cameron and Lauren want them to leave them alone. They should almost not be able to use clips of them.
They shouldn't. They honestly want nothing to do with them, and I get it. I get it. But that's their like golden child. They're like, we will never forget you.
We will never let you go.
Like,
that's what it feels like.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, welcome to the show. We've chatted on TikTok, we've chatted over the phone, but I'm just so excited to have you on the podcast officially.
I am too. I'm really excited about this.
And I feel like this is a good way for us to lock in because I'm sure that we have thoughts over the reunion. Okay, so this is where I want to start. I believe the reunion was either in LA or Austin, Texas, correct?
I don't even know where it was, honestly.
Okay, wherever it was, Joey is not used to however much sun he was getting because the sunburn was wow. The suit color was a choice. It accentuated that, you know? At first I kind of liked it, but then I'm like, that's a choice. He was so sunburned. I'm like, the Minnesota sun.
I mean, there was a lot of choices he made. And look, the hair, which I thought he said he was like trying to sell, but how long it's been a whole year. I feel like it's the same length as it was.
Yeah. I feel like
right?
you got a trim before. Like,
yes. I was like, so you are choosing this hairstyle.
Yes.
This is, no. And
What
it's not working.
He's got hair blind. Like you need to get rid of
Yes.
that haircut.
Yes.
You need to
Someone
go to a
needs
good
to talk to
barber.
him.
Yeah, good
I'm surprised
barber.
his sisters haven't yet.
Yeah. They seem like they're in blind support of him though, which we'll get to later. That gives me a perfect opportunity to hit that. Okay, out of all the things that I could have done without a montage of, I didn't need the patriotic montage of Daniel and Taylor. And this is where I knew that I was not the target audience for Love is Blind season 8 this season, even more so than what we've already seen. What was happening?
I don't understand, and this is one of the reasons why on my like TikToks I haven't really talked about Taylor and Daniel that much. I love that they have love, obviously, like I think that's great, but we really didn't touch on at all any of their thoughts on anything. Like there was so much political talk, there was so much social justice talk, but we did not hear anything about that from them, and it makes me question what do they think? And the montage was giving not exactly. I'm not the audience for it.
Unfortunately, I go to the cast Instagram prior to the show, so I already knew what Daniel thought the moment I saw him because he has the typical barstool flag, Saturdays are for the boys. He overdid it on the patriotic celebration of 4th of July. 2 months after the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota, I felt like that was like, oh, okay, that's a sign of you're still patriotic right now in the year of 2020 after that just happened. And so I already kind of knew where they were. It's also like, both of their family members. I think Taylor mentioned at one point that her parents didn't know that she was living with Daniel and that they weren't okay with that, right?
Yes.
Didn't she say that?
Yeah, she did say that. She did say that.
Yeah, so I kind of got the idea of where they were. You know, there's somebody for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. And I think that the two of them will have a great time celebrating the 4th of July, going to country concerts, and, you know, let them have that.
Yeah, with her eyes on his chest.
Insert Joe from You clip because what?
That I don't even like when he showed that I was like, you should never show your chest again. Why would you even willingly bring that up? You saw it, right? So why would you even I would never even say I had that tattoo.
In the eyes. Like I'm like, why was that necessary? Like I thought he was just gonna get her eyes. It was full on from here to here.
It was just a zoom. It was just a zoom, and it was a rectangle.
It was a block.
Like
Horrible.
what?
Oh,
Oh my
absolutely
God.
horrible. That should be on an episode of Ink Master so that the judges can critique it. Absolutely hilarious. Rivaling David's tattoo from Married at First Sight, where he did that cover up.
Oh,
That was pretty
yes.
bad.
That was pretty bad.
I
I don't
never,
understand. Like, people need to really think about this. You know what I mean? Like, this is and this is on your chest.
what?
I would be, oh, I was, Daniel's, his thing is on his, like, it's like
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
public. It's not even like some place that's just like on his leg or something. I don't mean, I don't know why we put eyes on his legs, but still, like, just weird.
I'm wondering what her actual internal diet monologue was when she saw that, because I
I
would be like,
She doesn't like it. I'm sorry. Like,
there's no
I feel like
way.
she's a very aesthetic girly, you know? So I definitely don't think that she likes that at all. At all. And I think she's wishing that he did not show it.
He needs some cover up. He needs a good cover up, and it's going to come off when they go in the ocean. So have fun with that. That's for the rest of your life. Getting into the next thing, Virginia said that she won't share Devin's views, but she herself supports the LGBTQ plus community. She also believes that different religions should be valued. She believes that women should have the right to abortion, and we could safely assume that Devin feels the opposite.
Yeah. She was saying, I'm not going to share his views. I'll share mine, but that's my way of sharing his views.
100%. And I loved that. I
Yeah.
love that she did that. I thought that that was such a beautiful way to read him down, but still be classy. I wouldn't have been able to think of it. I would have been like, he's in the MAGA cult. Like,
It was queen behavior, honestly.
absolutely. And then Devin retorts and said, for me, I can look past certain things. And I wonder what he's looking past. Is he looking past the fact that she's open to supporting the LGBTQ plus community? Is he looking past the fact that she thinks that women should have the right to decide if they have an abortion? What is he looking past that impacts or affects him in any way?
Did, Nothing. And I never understand that argument. Like, well, we don't have to agree on everything. I agree. We don't have to agree on everything. But when we disagree on like morals,
Right.
on human rights, then yeah, I feel like that's going to be a problem.
If I like hot coffee and you like an iced latte, you get that. That's
Yeah.
fine. But we can agree to disagree there. But if I go to the polls and I'm voting to keep our country moving towards a state of progress and you're voting against people who I care about, where can we find commonality at home?
Yeah. And how can I say that I actually am really for something if I'm marrying somebody that is actively against it?
It makes no sense.
Mm.
It also was interesting that Virginia mentioned the note from Devin's ex. I didn't really understand what it said, to be fair.
I don't think he really even said what, he said that like it was just more her saying like how she was so proud of him and happy that he found Virginia. So, and I don't know if they cut it out, but it didn't seem like Virginia really rebutted that. But it was more about the fact that she didn't know
That they had contact,
that
correct?
well, when she had met this girl, she didn't know that that was his ex.
Oh,
And so then I guess later on she found out, and then she finds this letter and she's like, this is just so inappropriate. And I think he was just trying to like, I think the letter was just a little bit too emotional in a way that it felt inappropriate. That's how
also,
I
there's
would
no
feel.
way for it to not feel inappropriate when an ex reaches out to you the day before your wedding, unless you're co-parenting together, in my opinion.
And writes a letter too. That's so intimate.
Yeah, like what? Did she send it with a pigeon? That's crazy. A letter to our address, to
Yeah.
our apartment? How do you even get this?
Yeah.
Wait, how does she know where we live?
Yeah. Like, why couldn't she couldn't just text you and say, hey, so proud of you, buddy?
Very strange. Virginia mentions the $1,000 check that his family member had gifted them for their wedding, and then his mom mentioned it, and he hadn't brought it up. That's giving shady behavior.
100%. And I'm really glad that we got to find out how much, because I was wondering that. I was like, I need to know how much it is.
Oh, oh my God. Not only do you have bad values, but you're an asshole. When she said that she bought him hundreds of dollars worth of gifts and needed help carrying them into the house, and he came outside, and
She had to,
then,
and she asked him to come outside. He pretty much was like, can't you do it yourself? Then she had to ask him again, and then he finally came down. and then says you could have done this yourself. Are you kidding me?
The demon that rises out of me at comments like that.
I mean,
Holy shit.
I'm petty. I'm like,
Me too.
oh, taking these gifts away. Like, no,
100%.
like literally taking these gifts away.
100%.
And you're never getting, I don't care if we actually make up, you're never getting those gifts back.
And then, because that comment was already enough, we would have been arguing over that. That alone, we're arguing. I'm so annoyed at you. But then to get in the house after carrying and say you could have got it.
Like, are you kidding me?
It's about the gesture. Virginia seems like the type of woman who likes her chair pulled out. She can get it. She can open the door herself. She can get her own meal. But it's the gesture of having some help. That's what you have a partner for help on things.
Like, yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, sure, I could have gotten it. Sure, I could have done 2 trips. But why wouldn't you want to help me? Like, I think that's the real question. Like,
Where's the, oh my God, you went out and got this for me. This is how you've been spending your last few hours. You didn't have to do that. Where's the appreciation for the gifts, too?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. I don't even think it would have to be a gift for me to still feel angry about it.
Oh, if this was just
groceries. Oh, I love that.
I would freak out.
I'd be like, are you kidding me now? Like that to me is like, no.
I'd be like,
no.
I would walk in and be like, so they're in the car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like a generous man. So for me, it's just like a hell's no. If you're the type of person like you could just do, yeah. But how many things could you do yourself that I help you with?
That's my thing. And I know that you're not supposed to like reference past things in a relationship. Like, it's not always healthy to do that, but I'm the first person to be like, and who does your laundry? Can you not do that? Because that's an act of kindness that I'm not even asked to do. So you're not going to help with the groceries? Oh yeah. Flip.
I think we would have to bring it up. Technically it's not healthy, but sometimes some people need to be reminded.
Yeah, some people need to be reminded. I love that. Okay, so next we move. Oh, and also to end on Devin and Virginia, because we'll go back to them in a second. Devin stopped answering Virginia's phone calls as well.
I couldn't, especially with the sobbing. He was so like, when do you want it? The person that you said yes to is calling you, and now all of a sudden you don't want to answer. Like, that's just right. You almost married
Ben
did
this the person. Same thing. He told Sarah, I'm crying. And he said, I'm not available. Let's start with Ben on the fact that he referred to himself in third person. And he's like, I wanted to shake Ben. Is Ben in the room with us? Is he not in the room with us anymore? Why are you talking about yourself like that?
Because he's like, I'm talking about my persona that this is the persona that I'm talking about.
That's when you knew that he was playing a character. He views himself as a character. He was like, oh, love this season. Ben, he's an asshole. Wanted to shake him as if it's not him.
Yes, I was like, that's you. That's you, Boo Bear.
Yes. I don't know if you forgot, but he forgets a lot of things, though. He forgets a lot of things. He needs
to actually maybe get like a neurological assessment.
100%. He's got amnesia.
He's too young to have this to forget so much.
He needs a recorder in his pocket so he can play back certain things that he said. He's getting to the stage of notepad, recorder, post-it notes all over the house. You need to have some help. This is the thing. Ben does filter himself. Like, you can tell that he's tried to filter himself throughout the season. However, the things that he does say, you know how he feels about things. Because he just blatantly says it. So him saying that he didn't have anyone in his life who identified as queer, and that's why he didn't pay attention to his church's thoughts and feelings or care what they were saying, was everything you needed to know about Ben.
Except remember when he said that he has friends that are like that?
So that's insane because...
Right?
Exactly. In one breath, you don't know anybody, but also you went out of your way to bring a very diverse group of friends, and you have queer friends, and you've forgotten about them. So, and they also, I didn't pay attention that closely, but they weren't a part of his bridal party from what we saw. So are you really close friends with those people, or did you just bring them on to help try to prove a point?
I mean, I think one of the guys Abe was in his bridal
party.
One guy was.
I didn't see any of the women even in the audience.
I think I saw the Asian girl.
Okay.
I think I saw her.
Okay.
But I did not see the lesbian girl, the one who said that she was a lesbian.
I did
not see her. And guys, one of the things I was thinking about is because when, all this commotion about, wait, no, you continue and then we'll go into that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Now I want to know. Okay, so basically Ben's like, it didn't pertain to me or anybody I know, so I don't care. And then he went into how Jimmy helped him. Oh no, I'm sorry. Did Sarah say this? Jimmy helped him prepare for the reunion and practice questions and encouraged him to be good with Sarah prior. That's what I mean. Ben says things that you wouldn't be able to waterboard out of normal people.
It's like he literally pretty much ghosts her, but like tries to ghost her at least, gets her off of Finding Friends. She has to write him. He writes some random apology, then doesn't talk to her again for 2 months, and then calls her and is like, "Hey, so Jimmy said that I should get on good terms with you, and we should practice reunion questions."
The way I would say, so that's not
I was like,
happening.
"Sir, are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, literally, I thought you were 2 months ago. I was thinking that we were in a relationship and you were moving me to Nashville, and then you tried to ghost me, and now you're calling me to say, "Hey, I want to get on good terms with you."
Not me bringing
That's
up
all
a
the way
country
off.
song, but there's like that song that's like, did your boots stop working? Did your truck run out? Did you go through money? And the funny thing is the girl was waiting for him to leave Nashville. Sarah's waiting for Ben to come to Nashville. Listen,
Oh,
listen. Sarah's in the next music video. I don't know.
yes. I love
Um,
that.
love that for her. So that was crazy. Ben, listen, my other problem is I've had a lot to say about Sarah on my TikTok. I've said a lot about her during the season. I think that it's very telling of where she was when she decided to maintain a relationship with Ben after the season. You mean to tell me that first of all, is Ben vaccinated? Is he a liability to have on the show?
I mean, her saying all that stuff about like, one of his issues was we couldn't agree on vaccines. I was like, what? What?
And he's on the
Who-
show how? He's on the show how?
That sounds like it. That definitely sounds like it. But he might be one of those people that are vaccinated but doesn't believe in vaccines, which I'm like, so interesting that
Right.
you
What is
have
this
immunity.
what's gonna
You
happen
have
to me in 10
immunity, but you don't
years?
believe anyone else should. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Or you believe it was a big mistake. What's going to happen to me in 10 years? That's what it was seeming like. So she did so. And and at that moment, I'm not heartless. When she was in the car with her mom, Sarah's not performative in the sect of she's fabricating all of this for the show. What
Hmm.
she is she has flimsy values. She is still a newborn in her journey and she hasn't fully committed to it yet. And that was clear because at the moment, it's like, I don't want to give her props, but I'm like, okay, she's talking to her mom, who, by the way, seemed conservative, seemed like she was happy that she found Ben. And she's like, it's the vaccine. It's how he feels about Black Lives Matter. It's how he feels about the LGBTQ community. It's how he goes to church every Sunday and he's so traditional. It's
Hmm.
all of these things. And that felt genuine in the moment
Yeah.
after her wedding. But to after that, decide that you see who he is and that you would want to be in a relationship with him and him come to Nashville. I just feel like that's why I think that Sarah at her current moment is still dangerous because why would you subject your sister and people around you to coming into contact with Ben? Or why would you risk, first of all, you're already going to Nashville. You're going from Minnesota to Nashville.
Yeah.
You don't think Ben's gonna put his boots on and get even more conservative in Nashville? You don't think he's gonna throw those bad boys on and yeehaw his way to the voting poll? Yeah. So he was gonna come to Nashville, and it's just embarrassing that the only reason that that they're not together or that their relationship discontinued is because he ghosted her, which she didn't believe. And
Yes.
that's the thing. Sarah went back to that standpoint of, well, he does believe this, but that does not impact me who has a relationship with him. How does that impact me? He doesn't treat me like that. And then you see very quickly that those values absolutely do apply to you because he doesn't value you either.
Percent. And I think that's like not having good foresight in a way of like, how does his views in are gonna, like, if you guys are at some point not in a good place, how is that going? How is he going to treat you? If he doesn't care about your reproductive rights, what does he think about women in general? And you're a woman, like,
And you're
you
going
have,
to Nashville, where women's
yes.
rights are not there for reproductive measures.
It did make me really feel like, especially because she went from saying no, being like, oh, we'll see, when he says, "Well, I want to continue dating," then saying all the reasons in the car, which is like, Okay, so you understand that he and he's not curious either. It's not that like
Not curious.
he's not curious about it. He's not doing any work. Nothing had changed. But then you spent 2 weeks living together after that. And so that's the part where I do agree with you on this, that she is in her infancy
Hmm.
of this journey of hers. And so she's not really solidified in those views, or at least not to the point where she's really willing to be like, I am not going to be with somebody that actively is against those views. Like she says that this is so huge for her. It's not enough that you would be like, I can't be with this person. You already know how he feels. You said it was big for you, but you dated him in this whole time. You said no, and then you still dated him after, and then he had to break up with you. Yeah, you have more work to do. That's how I feel with her. I feel like
Absolutely.
she can get there.
Me too.
I feel like she wants to do the work. It's just like she has more work to do.
Yes. She has more work to do. She has more self reflection to do. She has more uncomfortable conversations to have. And I think she's curious, which is a good
Mhm.
thing. I'm not saying that that their curiosity shouldn't be praised, because that is a step above Ben. I'm
Yeah.
happy that she's curious, but she's not committed yet. And
Yeah.
I think that we quickly see that oftentimes in heteronormative relationships, especially among white couples, the woman ends up adopting her husband's politics. That's what typically happens. Sometimes not the case. However, we saw how quickly Sarah was going to Ben's church. We saw how quickly she
Yes.
sat in front of her sister and said, I am fiscally conservative. Sound like the first time they heard that.
Oh
We,
yeah, her sister was like, "You're fiscally
yeah.
conservative."
You who lives paycheck to paycheck, you're fiscally conservative? Okay.
Okay, girly. But you're not. It's that whole thing to me. But I also do think that Ben is a good manipulator.
He
He
is.
knows what to say.
Hmm.
And I do think she would go into conversations and he would say something to appease her, and as if like she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah," and then she would leave and be like, "Wait a second."
We saw him do that at their glamping date, especially. We
Yes.
saw it a lot, but he was snippy with her when she chose to bring up the fact that she listened to the sermon from his church. And
Mm-hmm.
we saw him snip, and then we saw him retract and say, work would be so overwhelming right now. Like, wouldn't it? Like, of course work picks up right now. Like, I'm just so like frustrated. And she's like, yeah, like work. No, he watched her body language. He said she didn't like that. Now I need to dial it back. That wasn't a good look for me. And then he tried to proceed forward with her. And it felt disingenuous. His chuckles, his laughing made me uncomfortable. I think
Mm-hmm.
that he'll probably be on next season of Perfect Match.
I
And I
think so
think that's
too.
probably why they even tried to let him have some sort of, I don't know if redemption arc is the word, but there are still people who see him in a favorable light after this season, because Sarah's comments have been laced with hatred. So I'm not saying that she deserves hatred. I'm happy that her and Virginia both walked away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you see the differences going back to Virginia and Devin and how they handled things. Virginia
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have the privilege that Sarah has to not cut off people who can be harmful to her. And as a result, she disengages with Devin. Yeah, Devin didn't call her, but that didn't feel like to me they were working on a relationship. That felt like there are some loose ends. Where's my money? Just kidding. Like, no $500? Okay, still waiting.
Yeah. Like, where's my half?
Exactly, exactly. So, but she didn't compromise on that. You know what I mean? Because she doesn't have the privilege to. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, and you see it happen when she's around Ben's friends, she's not overly disrupting the group and being an agent of change. She can decide as a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes when she wants to say that she has conservative values, when to speak up against someone. Whereas other people who identify as queer or who are marginalized in some way, they're already judged from the get based off of their
Yeah.
appearance. And so there's just two differences in how they handled these situations too, because of privilege.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she also just deals with issues of being a people pleaser, like not wanting to rock the boat. And you can't be a good ally if you're not willing to walk the boat a little bit. So that's something that she really needs to work on, her issues with confronting things, because anytime she saw, like, they both did the thing. He saw she didn't handle that well, and I mean, she saw that he didn't handle something well, and she would back off. He saw she didn't handle something well, and he would back off. And it was like, but in a way, he's trying to get, it's like just at piecemeal, trying to get her to come to his side, and she was just trying to get answers, but at the same time, by not wanting to completely cause any issues between them, which is like, sometimes you're going to cause, if the issue is that he has a different value and it's going to cause issues, then you need to know.
Absolutely.
Like,
And you could tell she was struggling to bring these things up, but
mhm.
also Ben made that difficult because he wasn't curious, like you said, in conversation. Sarah needs to read Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. That's my recommendation. Sarah should read that. But specifically, there was a quote that I wanted to find really quick because I have a lot of statements underlined. Okay, easily found it. Okay. Niceness is more than helping. It is stopping to listen, to connect, to be gentle with your words. I reserve nice for people who are nice to me or for those who I know need it because of their circumstances. And then she continues to say, the same nice feminist voices say the same things they have been trying and failing to convince people of before. Only now people can hear them because my yelling, the authors, Mickey Kendall, made folks pull their heads out of the sand. After the pearl clutching about my meanness passes, what's left is the realization that they have wronged someone, that they have not been as good, as helpful, as generous as they needed to think they were all along. And I think that that's just important. I think that, like
Mm,
you said, you can't be an ally, you can't be disruptive without being perceived as being mean to somebody. And there's a difference between being nice and being kind, and kindness is actually caring for people who deserve it, and being nice can be surface level and also demeaning to your own values. But Mickey
yeah,
Kendall says it best. This is a great book. Love this book so much. So many things underlined that I learned from it. But Sarah needs to read that, and really just continue doing that work. And I hope she does. I'm rooting for her.
100%.
We're rooting for you. Okay. So continuing on. So now we hear from Monica and Joey. Monica was upset that Joey texted Madison after they went tubing, and also kind of his this isn't funny, but his demeanor at the wedding, like jumping around, dancing, throwing the football. I have a couple of conflicting thoughts on this, so let me hear yours first. First of all, do we know what the timeline was for the tubing? Was this after Joey had met Monica's sister?
I do not know,
That's what I want to know.
but part of me thinks it was,
Because
but I don't know.
my opinion is that meeting her sister and how that went really impacted the rest of their relationship. And I thought that early on, and that's kind of what he said at the reunion. But what did you think?
Um, I think I don't. I think that I think like how Nick was saying. Um, I don't think the sister impacted. I think that he already
Love.
was unsure, honestly. He wasn't really giving really lovey-dovey at all. I think it impacted it somewhat. Do you mean? I definitely could tell that there was somewhat of a shift, but also kind of looking back, I don't think he was all in from the beginning. Um, and there was some like cutout scenes or something that they showed where it was just like he he never wanted to get married. That was a whole thing that all of family and friends knew. Um, and he was also recruited for this. So I don't think he really went into this in a serious like I want to get married. I think he was like, "Oh, maybe I'm open to it. I kind of like Monica." But I think once he met Monica, I don't think that there was like a real like romantic connection. I think he was trying. But then I also think that family and friends are important to him. And once the sister thing happened, I think he ought to like fully cut it off. But I think it was always going to end up this way, even if the sister was
Okay.
nicer.
See, I received that, and I've gone back and forth between two lines of thinking
Yeah,
because I would really love to interview Joey so that I can ask these questions because there are
I
some
want that
things
too.
that I think. I think that he met Monica where she was at. And I think that
Mm.
neither of them communicated with each other properly during this experience. Had Monica been overly, not overly, but had Monica just been more vocal and, you know, Joey, who has OCD and is neurodivergent, and he claims that he cured himself, but I'm sure that he still fixates on things, and you can
He
tell
showed he did.
he showed he did. And
Yeah.
even you see how he tidies things and the need for control and to just have a sense of like a tangible routine of things that he's used to. Without Monica providing that validation, I think that it's hard for him to settle into a space where he feels comfortable giving it back. I do think that he seemed attracted to Monica. He was like, "Could I kiss you, Monica?" In his Minnesota accent. Like he was excited to kiss her. But I just think that without either of them, they had I call it a stare off between couples that they have. And
Mm.
it's where people have like a basically like a staring match and neither one is willing to blink first. And that's what happened between Monica and Joey. There needed to be somebody to say, "This is how I feel about you. I'm wondering if this is happening in our relationship." Because without putting words into Joey's mouth, I'd be curious. My perception is Joey had a lot going on in his family, a lot of dynamics that we didn't fully dive into, but we heard things that I picked up on, such as Joey was the rock for his family. At however old Joey was, he was the rock. We also noticed that Joey's parents are divorced. We don't know when this happened. I will say statistically, a lot of marriages end in divorce when your child is terminally ill. That's unfortunately one of the highest times that couples divorce because they can't go through the stress of it. We see that Joey's I can't say where he lived, but it sort of seems like him and his sisters were with his mom. That's just how I'm reading the situation. I know I shouldn't impose on people, but that's how it read to me. Like they had
Yeah.
spent a lot of time with their mom and his dad was kind of brought in as like a side character, more or
Yeah, I
less.
agree. Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
so it felt like he really respects his father's discernment because I noticed in the conversation with his mom, I'm sure that was a very challenging day for her, but she seemed a little flighty.
I mean, he's brought that up though too, that he has to like put money aside for her.
Oh, I did miss that. Okay, so she seems a little flighty, and I don't blame her, no judgment, but it seemed like that was there. And as a result, I think that Joey sort of was positioning his sisters the same way that Dave did. Now, I don't view Dave the same way as Joey, but what I do
Yeah.
think Dave did is after he lost his mother, he maternalized his sister and he put her in the position as the maternal figure in his life because he does not have his mom anymore. And he is who she looked to. And I think that Joey, however old he was the rock for the
Yeah.
family. I think that he views his sister's opinions in a very high way. And I also think that seeing your parents, if they did divorce during his sister's illness, that's traumatic and you do sort of not believe in marriage for a while. It makes you a little jaded in terms of if I find a partner. Now, granted, that's a lot of therapy to put on the situation, but just seeing the snippets of what we saw, it
Yeah.
feels like he had a lot of nuance in where he was at, in my mind.
I agree with that. I mean, I think there's some stuff like in the pods he did talk about how his mom is not good with money. And so he's had to really step up there and he's like how put aside money for her, like made some type of like savings account for her. He was saying that she was bad with money. And so he's had to think about that and like actually make like a savings account for her and think about like retirement for her. And then he also said something else, some other way that he supports her financially. And I do. One of the reasons why I feel like he was actually really never in it to get married is because then he brings up later on that, like, well, Monica doesn't have a job and I don't know how she will deal with like stress. I think it was more about the fact that, like, wait a second, I'm already supporting my mom and then now I'm going to also have to financially support this woman. And I do think that that was like a big thing too for him where he's like, and also there's another family that you also have to support because is supporting her family by staying by not having a job right now. She's trying to be, I think, a caretaker for her grandparents. And I think that was like a bit too much for him. He likes a lot of control, and I think because of his trauma and stuff, there's understandably for that. But I do feel like in some ways, maybe okay. If I'm giving him some grace, maybe he did think he could, and then he realized actually this is too much chaos for me. Like I need somebody that is in a bit more of a stable place, um, and also maybe is a bit cleaner, and so that my OCD isn't triggered. Also that has finances coming in, so then I don't feel like it's all on me. That's another person like so. And then also, I do think he likes to be like, I'm this happy-go-lucky person, but you do see a lot of times where all of a sudden that mask, and I think that's a mask for him,
Me too.
falls off, and it's like, whoa. So oh shoot, I don't remember where I was going with that. But like I feel like then so he likes to be able to do that and then not have people be like, "Oh, I love Joey, I love Joey." And the sister not liking him was just too much. He's like, I do think that was he's like, I can't do that.
Yes. I
Um
I think that I don't like how Joey handled her. I felt like that was judgmental. I feel like it makes sense that a lot of people are kind of in between positions at the time of Love is Blind, which is how they're able to do those positions. I can't imagine going to my normal job while filming upwards of 12 hours, sometimes even longer. I think that
yeah.
that would be not feasible. So I didn't like how he handled that. I also didn't love how at the ceremony, how after Monica says no, how he kind of delivers a speech. I can't place how that made me feel, but it's sort of like she has to stand there and act like things are okay, just to turn around and say, which shocked me, that he sees no future with Monica and he like wasn't willing to like continue dating. That's when I think that like, okay, maybe he friend zoned her. We find out he reached out to Madison. That's strange. But I definitely think that he was very put off by meeting the sister. I definitely think, because we didn't see the conversation, but Joey said in a snippet, we see that Monica's sister basically said, you have
Mhm.
my blessing, but not my support. And so she was saying, okay, do what you're going to do, but you do not have my support in this relationship. And I
Yeah.
think that her saying that is different than her not liking him. And I also feel like I understand people say like it's not a reason to, have one family member impact you, but in most situations, I feel like when a family member doesn't like your spouse, of course, sometimes you do run into parents who are just very protective and nobody will be good enough. But a lot of times, things happen and they're talking about a relationship that's been going on and the person has done something that's unfavorable. Like, whether you've cheated on their daughter and now, okay, well, yeah, they don't like your boyfriend. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like for Joey to be met with like she just didn't like him, like she just didn't like him right off the bat, I think that was like really putting off to him.
I mean, I do think, when they did the pictures and she was like, I just felt like I wasn't sure if that was real. And when she said that, I was like, I get that. I feel like she was sensing this is a facade. Like he is
That's
not
real. That's
actually
that's valid.
like just go like literally just like this really super happy person. He's not. Like you can like the mask falls off so many times. You can tell that that is not actually
That's
him.
what was confusing though. It's because she did that engagement photo shoot, and from my recollection, it was after that where things seemed fine. Like, okay, she's throwing Monica a bone. She's gifting her this engagement session. She was laughing at Joey. She said she could see it between them. Even after that, that's when it seems like she made that comment. So that would throw me as
Mm.
well. Like if
But I wonder what happened because like what did but because like was it the engagement? Did they have the engagement shoot and then the whole Madison thing happened? And then she was like, like, because even though she said I can see it, I could still sense she was a little skeptical. Like she was like, I'm still trying to feel you out. And I feel like there's some
Mm.
stuff that you just keep trying. You only want to show this one side of yourself. And I'm trying to see the whole side because like you're trying to marry my sister. Um, and I feel like you're hiding stuff. Like you know what I mean, like you can tell, like, and everybody has different sides to him, but I feel like his is like it's very much a full on flipping mask. Like he just wants to act like he's like, oh yeah, just like ride the skateboard and like there's no issues. But like you have a lot of trauma, dude. There are issues. Like you have a lot of things you have to take seriously. Like you literally have a savings account for your mom because she's bad with money. That's a lot to handle as a child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as a child, like that's a lot. You're not just this like, and you're like, so I do think that that was hard
So
for
you feel
him.
like it's more like toxic positivity from Joey?
Yes.
See, because I feel like Joey's mask isn't to manipulate people, whereas like
I
Ben's
don't think he's trying
is.
to manipulate.
Like,
I think it becomes toxic though when you're like I don't think he can handle the negativity. I think this is how he tries to he's like, okay, if I do this, then I can be happy and I can be light. Everything has to be light because everything is already so heavy for him. So, and so I think he just like refuses to have anything else heavy come into his life.
I don't necessarily know if I think it's toxic positivity so much as
Mm.
actively choosing to see the beauty in moments, because it's like nothing is guaranteed. You know what I mean? Now, do I feel bad for Monica? Yes. Do I feel like he was a bad romantic partner? I do. But I also feel like they didn't communicate. You know what I mean?
I do think he neglects some serious conversations, or at least neglects the fact that it's impacting him. And I don't think he would say, oh yeah, you know what, this is affecting my, my trauma from the past is affecting my ability to be more present in this relationship because of blah 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 blah. Like he pretty much was just blaming the sister, and I think the sister was being a hater in a lot of ways too, but I also think that she had some reasons for it as well. I
Fair.
think there's a
Me
mix.
too.
um and I also feel understanding of Monica with her sister, because sometimes, like I'm one of three girls, and my sister's not like that, but we've had times where things weren't going as well. And sometimes you just don't want to see it that way. And I think she still also looks up to her sister. So I don't think she wants to see her sister as jealous. I didn't want to like, so, and I think a lot of ways too, like, she hasn't been in a relationship in a while, so it hasn't been a problem for a while. So it's just like stuff that like maybe has been brushed under the rug, and she just is like, yeah, that's a negative thing about my sister, but I don't really want to think about that much. They're also dealing with the fact that she's staying home, she's around her family. Like there's a lot of stuff that is going on. Is like that is not even the thing I'm thinking about,
Yes.
like, so I think that I agree with you. I think they both have communication issues. I think they
Hmm.
both have blind spots in their traumas. And because of that, they didn't actually talk about things that they needed to talk about that
Agreed.
maybe would have flushed some things out. And they both need people that maybe have less trauma, or maybe have like less weight right now, that can give more space to be like, how can I help support you? um
I do think it's weird that Joey reached out to Madison. You know, Joey's definitely not perfect. I wouldn't be able to date Joey. You know what I mean? Like I'll just
yeah, but I mean, I think that's messed up that like this is what I mean though, where I do feel like there are certain things that he did that he was already checked out, but instead of
agreed.
just checking out,
Agreed.
like, it's like I
But
think
can
he
they?
has.
Because I
I
thought
mean,
that they
other
have
people
to though.
have, but I mean, they're like, even so many people have recently in the last like few seasons have checked out. I mean, even what's it called? D- What's it? Dave and Lauren ended things.
Dave and Lauren ended things, but it's almost like, okay, how many people do they let end things and not make it to the altar? Because Dave and Lauren ended things, Mason
Hmm.
and Meg ended things, Madison and Alex ended things. So it's like, I
Well,
feel
they
like,
never got out of the pods. They never got out of
yeah,
the pods.
I feel like there's like almost like,
I think he could have. I
you think he
think,
could have?
yeah. I think especially after all their lawsuits, they're not, because especially after the lawsuit, I feel like there have been a lot of more than one couple, even in a season, that have ended things, and it's been fine, and that you haven't heard anything about them being sued. So like I even that one season, that one girl, like they like cut them out big, but um so I do think I think there's a part of this, especially his communication was like, I'm just going day by day. You're going day by day to figure out if you want to marry this person? Like
Yes.
literally day by day? I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Even as somebody who's like I live life to the fullest, or carpe diem. Like it still is like, okay, I mean, if literally if you're up to the altar deciding, I think you already know. I think you already know.
And I felt
And
bad for Monica that she was basing her decision off of what Joey was saying as well. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like her
Yeah.
no was because she was unsure about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she kind of knew that he was a no. And so she was basing it off of that. She's like, he wasn't giving me validation. And so I think she already knew that he was going to say no.
See, that's that Minnesota nice. That's what I mean. Joey tried to be nice to Monica throughout the relationship, and that's what I mean about
And
niceness.
it's not
It's
kind.
not kind. It's not kind to be nice. Nice is surface level, okay?
Yes.
Nice is no, tell me that. No, if you care for me, you'll actually be honest with me. Nice is guised in some sort of like fabrication that you don't truly feel sometimes. That's what sometimes nice feels like.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. The whole Madison told Monica that Joey was hitting on her at bars. I believe it. I believe that
Me
that he
too.
was. 100%.
I believe.
And that's
Oh,
the
you
part I
believe that
believe.
Madison was
No, I believe that Joey was.
hitting on Madison?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
100%
And I
believe
think
that as
that's
well.
the mask that I'll agree with is Joey wants to be seen as the nice guy. And like, Joey, your intention was in fact to hit on Madison. You might as
Yeah.
well own that. So that's my opinion there.
But
Like I
then his
said,
whole like, oh, I was not interested. I was
oh
like
yeah.
that,
And Madison's like,
like
sure.
giving very much like not my type. And then she was like, it's giving interest. I was like, yes, queen. I love
Yes. Yeah,
that.
that was actually really funny. So yeah, I don't like I'm not like a Joey fan. I just think his relationship with Monica was more nuanced than like, oh, he played her until the end and like he's a
I
bad
agree.
person. You know what I
I
mean? Not that
completely
you were
agree with
saying
you.
that. The
No, no,
viewers.
yeah, no, yeah, but I do think you added some context too. Like, I like your thoughts. I feel like there was, that made me think a bit more.
Okay,
So,
fair. Love that. Okay, Dave tells Lauren that he thinks that she's the one that got away, regrets listening to his family. Listen, the fact that we didn't meet Dave's sister is abysmal.
like, what is going on? Like, honestly, she needed to show up. She was so present without being present in the season. I feel like I feel like they needed to put pressure on him for her to show up.
She should have been there. It should have
She
been
should have been.
mandatory.
It's honestly ridiculous that she wasn't.
Yeah, you want the check for the season? We need to put a mic on your sister. Okay?
Yeah.
She doesn't get to because here's the thing. Like a lot of times I don't side with production ever, but if I'm a producer, I'm going to be petty sometimes, especially with guys like Dave, and I would be like, here's the thing, Dave. Your sister doesn't get to guide your decisions all season and be an ever-present thing that we've talked about and then not come on camera. You don't get to talk about her on screen and then leave viewers with like a lack of clarity and some closure there.
Yes.
So we're going to bring your sister, and as much as she shaped your opinion, as much as she shaped your process, like I hope she stands on that pretty much.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like if I would put that, I'd be like, if you want your check or something, they need to have some type of like clause in there. Like if you keep bringing up this person and then they don't show up, where it becomes like a whole storyline. I don't know how you put that in
Agreed.
lawyer talk,
But they would.
like then they need to either show up or you will not be getting paid for this because his whole storyline was my sister, my sister, my sister, my sister. She needs to show up then.
Like the fact that we didn't get a shot of the fact that she wasn't there mic'd up to say if whether or not Dave gave the letter, whether or not she actually cared, what she thought about Lauren's letter, I don't understand that.
That didn't make I honestly and oh, like that thing pissed me off. That it pissed me off so much when he said that. He's like, I did. And she's like, but it was in your pocket when you came back. I gave it to her later. What? Like you're not even a good liar. That's what pisses me off even more. You're not even a good liar.
And that's the thing. I think that he didn't bring his sister because his sister didn't give a shit who he dates.
100%.
And so he didn't want her to sit there and make him look stupid.
It's giving middle school when somebody like wants to tell someone off is like, well, everybody thinks this.
Yes, and it's also giving middle school when you don't want to do something with someone and you're like, my parents said no. And then
Yes.
they didn't, in fact, say no, but you just don't want to go. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're like, Mom, I'm gonna need you to say that you said no.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she's like, period, no.
yeah.
You need me to say it in the background? No. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so really, really annoying. I could care less about Meg and Mason. Could care less. Meg is a pick me.
I literally Meg is definitely pick me and that whole thing really annoyed me. And Mason all of a sudden having some kahunas and being like, oh well, I should have like seen your red flags. And I'm not saying Madison is perfect, but like none of these people need to be. She brought some tea, but at the same time, it really wasn't as bad as people are like coming at her for. And Mason being like, I just felt like I was being crapped on. What are you talking about?
We all know that, in my opinion, the real reason that Madison can't actually say what she heard about Alex is because they're not going to be liable for talking about the allegations.
Yes.
But you're motherfucking lying if you think that she's a bully. Love is blind for not being with fucking Alex or like whatever it was. It's also like having seen all the allegations and the alleged text messages from Alex and the way he talks, it's absolutely no surprise that he made fun of Mason in text message about wearing his reveal outfit with a bunch of skulls.
Yes.
That's on par.
Yes.
That's who he is.
Yes.
Alex couldn't have been there. He should have been edited out of the season. It's abysmal that they've edited people out for other reasons. And these allegations are not only something that they didn't address, but that they platformed him and brought him there again. It's insane.
And the thing is, no matter when it was filmed, they could have cut him out. But if like the allegations came after it was filmed or whatever, then cut him out. Because honestly, it wasn't even that good. This portion wasn't even that good. Like, no one really cares.
Mhm.
Nobody cares about Mason and Meg. Nobody cares about them. So you could have cut it out easily. I mean, you should have for moral reasons, but also even if it wasn't for that, nobody actually cares about them. So it's easy to do that, as well as like the liability aspect of it's like, wait, you're actually still platforming this man?
And Meg shaking her head in agreement with Alex and defending him and riding so hard for him, that's so gross.
I mean, her even saying that like, oh, well, Alex was your number one. So blah, blah, blah. And that's how things go. Like, there's a lot of like that's the whole point of this. You date and then maybe someone's your number one, but you're still figuring it out. Like, what is the problem? Like, it's like, really, there is no problem. When she committed to Alex, she immediately went and ended things with Mason.
She did nothing wrong.
Mason did not do the same.
Yeah.
Mason committed to Madison and then went and had a date with Meg and did not tell her.
Mason's mad that he picked Meg as his rebound because he was going to pick Madison. She rejected him. Then all of a sudden he was all in on Meg. And it's like everyone's somehow forgotten that. The accountability for the actual man has left.
Yes. He's like, well, I literally, you picked Madison. You're like, I'm just upset. He said, I'm just upset that I validated you instead of Meg. That's on you, Pooh Bear. Like, how is that my problem that you, in that moment, maybe you felt like I was a better fit and now you feel like I wasn't? Okay, how is that on me? That's not on me. That's your bad picker.
Yeah, that's on you. And did Madison annoy me during the season? Yes, both her and Meg annoyed me. Almost like two sides of a different coin. Their personality was just not for me. However, I'm going to side with her. Okay, I'm going to side with her because both of the men who you were talking to objectively are shitty, and Alex has disgusting allegations and shouldn't be on here. I feel bad that she was even put at risk talking to him. She probably feels disgusted about all of it.
Yes. That this whole thing really, and the funny thing is Mason, like, he could have just not shown up again and no one would have thought about him. But him coming to just like basically bully Madison, which I'm like, what is the problem here? You actually still ended up, and Meg's like, you ruined it. No one ruined anything. You actually dated him and it didn't work out. So what's the problem? It was right all along. It didn't work out.
They came for what? Just to not be together? They were like, well, we tried.
Thank you. And then to be like, I just wish I gave Meg, but you did end up still giving Meg a chance and it didn't work out. So what are you talking about?
What are we
talking about here?
What are we talking about? I did love seeing AD. I know there's lots of mixed thoughts on this. A lot of people are like, I wish that they had the cast talk more. The cast had nothing to say of substance, really. I was there for Virginia's conversation. That was good. Aside from that, what did we really need to see? So I was happy to hear good news of AD. I also loved how Virginia was like so emotional for her. And the little nod the AD gave Virginia. You know what I mean? Like, it's coming for you.
You'll be
too.
okay.
Yeah, you'll be okay. You'll get yours as well. That's what I think.
I was really happy for AD. I just was more annoyed about the fact that now Perfect Match is ruined.
I was so confused at the logistics of that. I'm like, I'm confused. I'm like, will more people watch to see if they're the winners? And then if they're not the winners, aren't we all just going to be angry?
But at the same time, honestly, I don't watch Perfect Match to see who's the winner.
Yeah, I don't care. I watch for the drama.
Like, nobody cares about the actual end of Perfect Match. I don't care about the winner.
It's not like Love Island.
It's about, it's more about the process of like, oh, who like gets with who, that's messiness of like breaking up, like, oh, I'm with you, but then the next day someone comes in. It's about that. Like, no one actually cares about the winner. Like, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And we all know that the appearance fee is more than what they're getting to go on when they win the money. Okay, we all know that. So let's not lie. Same as trailers.
So I'm just surprised. I'm wondering why I wonder if AD put pressure and she's like, I'm in no contract to not say my
Love
engagement.
It. She is. Love it. Let's end with this because we're going to wrap things up. What do you think about the announcement of Love is Blind next season being in Denver, Colorado?
I'm hopeful.
Okay, I'm hopeful. I hope. I mean, I don't know much about the demographic. I don't know much about Denver.
I mean, I've heard Denver's pretty liberal.
Okay.
are pretty progressive, you know? Um, so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. We need,
I'm sure they've already casted, filmed, and done the entire season.
yeah.
So hopefully they made good decisions. Put in the comments where you guys want to see them go, actually. Also, Antoinette, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, on YouTube, you can find me at Bits of Banter. And on TikTok, you can find me. It's Bits of Banter with Antoinette, but the handle is Miss Razzle Dazzle.
Wait, how do you spell Razzle? Just in case. Two Z's?
Razzle.
Okay, perfect. Okay, make sure that you follow Antoinette on all platforms. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. Thank you for talking about all things Love is Blind season 8. I had so much fun, and we will definitely do this again about a different show that we watch.
Yay! I'm excited. This was really fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And everybody, make sure that you like this video if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. Make sure you're subscribed and leave me a review. What? I saw I have 750 listeners, but I only have 48 reviews. What's good? Come on, beef it up. Okay.
Come on, guys.
Thanks, guys.